Well, today we discover our heroes flying along smoothly.
Flying along smoothly?
You're just looking at the picture sideways!
Actually, it's like this.
Oh, well, good heavens. Today we discover our heroes hurtling straight down toward disaster at supersonic speed.
Well, that's better. Pull her up, Rock!
I am, Bullwinkle, but nothing's happening.
I can't understand it, Rocky. I designed this plane myself.
You did?
Of course.
Uh-oh, an airplane designed by Wrong-Way Peach Fuzz himself. Our boys are really in trouble.
Yes, makes you feel good all over, doesn't it?
Boris, now Mr. Big won't be mad anymore.
Who cares if he's mad, besides me, I mean?
Me?
And still the jet drew nearer and nearer the Earth.
We have just one chance, Bullwinkle.
Well, let's take it!
If Wrong-Way Peach Fuzz built the controls, maybe they work backwards.
You mean...
Yeah, I'm gonna shove this wheel forward.
What happens if you're wrong?
I figure the ship will just disintegrate.
Well, that's better than busting up, I guess. Go ahead!
So Rocky shoved the wheel forward as far as it would go, and he was right!
Hooray!
Hooray!
Oy. Well, back to the old fireside cookbook.
And the two villains began to peruse their guidebook for a recipe to do away with our friends. Meanwhile, the intrepid Rocky had brought the plane to a smooth landing on the slopes of Mount Flatton.
Were you scared, Bullwinkle?
Me, I got nerves of steel.
Then how come your fingerprints are still in the tail of the plane?
Well, I got fingers of steel, too.
Boy, we're sure glad you're here, Captain Peach Fuzz.
Yeah, even if it did almost wreck us.
We found out why this mountain floats in the air.
Why?
Because it's chock full of...
Hold it, Rocky. You're about to give me a top secret answer, right?
Well, you asked a top secret question.
Come over here where we won't be observed.
And Captain Peach Fuzz pulled Rocky into a nearby cave.
No, whisper it to me.
This mountain is chock full of Upsidaisium, daisium.
Good heavens, Rocky. This is tippy top secret. Good thing we're alone in this cave.
But Captain Peach Fuzz wouldn't have felt so secure if he had seen the huge shadow on the wall behind him. For he had accidentally stumbled on the hiding place of Mr. Big. Fortunately, Rocky sensed that there was something wrong.
I don't like this place, Captain. Let's go.
Sure enough, no sooner had they started off than a huge stone dropped right where they'd been standing.
And look on the rock, an enormous shadow. What do you suppose it is?
No doubt about it, Rocky. It's an enormous shadow.
But there's nobody there.
Well, then what are we worried about?
Come on, while we still can.
And Rocky and the captain dashed quickly from the cave.
There've been a lot of strange goings-on in Mount Flatton, Captain.
Oh, dear.
Why don't we notify Washington?
I don't think he'd much care, Rock. He's dead, you know.
I mean, we gotta tell the government. They'll send somebody to help us.
Oh!
But we can't do that, Rocky. This is tippy top secret, remember?
Even from the government?
There's only one thing to do then.
And that is?
If the government can't come to Mount Flatton will go to the government.
You feeling all right, Rocky?
Sure.
It's been a tough episode, I know, but...
It's the only way, Bullwinkle. We gotta figure out how to get this floating mountain back to Washington.
I only got 2 words to say to you, Rocket Squirrel.
Yes?
Impossible.
Well, it certainly looks that way, especially since Boris and Natasha seem to have found a good recipe in the cookbook.
Oh, Natasha, this is foolproof. I'm almost ashamed to use it.
Well then.
But I will.
Be sure to be with us next time for Plots and Plans or Too Many Crooks.
Centuries ago, in ancient Arabia, there was a modest little lamp shop owned and operated by a young man whom everybody called Aladdin, because Aladdin was his name. The lamp business was very poor, and Aladdin never had any customers, but that wasn't surprising because he didn't have any lamps either.
The place is a front. I got a pinochle game going on in the back room.
Then one day, a very rich and powerful king walked into the shop and said,
I need a lamp.
Sorry, Your Highness. I can't sell you a lamp. How about a deck of cards?
No. Now you get me a lamp or I shall have you thrown into a dungeon for your insolence.
Aladdin knew that the king meant what he said, so he frantically dashed out of the shop in search of a lamp, but in his haste, unfortunately for him, happened to step into a rather large hole. And down he tumbled into the inky darkness.
I seem to be in a bottomless pit with a bottom in it,
He was.
with no way out.
There wasn't. But just then, in the dim light, Aladdin happened to see a strange-looking lamp lying on the floor. Upon closer inspection, he saw that it was inscribed with the words, "Rub me and get a surprise." Aladdin rubbed, and he got a surprise.
Good heavens, a genie.
Yes, her name was Jeanie, and she had light brown hair.
Is your name Stephen Foster?
No, it's Aladdin. Are you a magic genie?
Heavens, no. I'm just an ordinary girl who was brought up in a lamp, that's all.
Are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure. Try making a wish and see for yourself.
Okay. I wish we were out of this pit.
And lo and behold, they were, just like that.
Can you imagine? All the time I was stuck in that lamp and I could have wished myself out. Oh, the years I've wasted.
According to the book, I get 3 wishes. I've already used up one, so I gotta be mighty careful with the others.
Aladdin hurried back to his shop and greeted the waiting king.
I got a lamp for you, Your Highness.
Well, it's about time, and a little dirty, isn't it?
I can have it cleaned up for you in no time.
You shine it up, and I shall return at 3:30 to pick it up.
Now look, Genie baby, I gotta check on the game in the back room. You shine it up for me, will you?
A busy mind is a happy mind, so Jeanie decided to shine the lamp. However, upon rubbing it...
Well, what? Another genie.
My name is Sally. Are you Stephen Foster?
At that moment, the king returned to his palace and was confronted by the Grand Vizier.
Terrible news, Your Highness. Your throne has been taken from you. You are no longer king.
No? Who is?
Me.
And with that, the king disappeared through a trap door. The Grand Vizier sat on the throne and surveyed the plush throne room.
What this room needs is a lamp.
So saying, he went to the only lamp shop in town, Aladdin's. And by this time, the shop was literally jammed with recent inhabitants of the lamp found by Aladdin.
Let me get this straight. You mean to say all you girls lived in a lamp the same time as me?
That's right.
Ladies, I came here to purchase a lamp.
This is the only lamp in the shop, but it's a little busy right now.
It's also a little dirty.
Well, we can't help that, so shine it up yourself.
The Grand Vizier took the lamp and started to rub, and who should appear but the king?
That was a sneaky trick, Wazir, dropping me through that trap door.
But, how did you get in the lamp?
Don't ask me. It was your trapdoor. Now prepare to defend yourself, Grand Wazir. I'm about to seek revenge. What do you say to that?
I say, oh yeah?
They were about to clash in mortal combat when the card game in the back room broke up and Aladdin came out.
Hey, what's going on out here?
This evil Grand Wazir tried to steal my throne, for he wishes to be king.
This suddenly gave Aladdin a brilliant idea. He could use one of his remaining wishes and make himself king. Then he could get out of the pinochle game in the backroom business and live like a king.
I wish that I were king.
But nothing happened. Then it came back to him. During the aforementioned pinochle game in the back room, he had unwittingly wished for 2 aces, one at a time, and his magic wishes had been used up.
I goofed.
Wait a minute, let me get this straight. You mean to tell me you got 3 wishes when you rubbed the lamp?
Exactly. And now I'm going to rub it again so I can get 3 more wishes. Then I'll be king.
Oh, no, you're not. I am.
A vicious struggle broke out between Aladdin and the evil Vizier, each striving to rub the lamp first. As it turned out, they both rubbed at the same time, but instead of a genie or Sally or Mary appearing, nothing appeared. Instead, something disappeared. Namely, Aladdin and the Vizier. The king was safe at last, which only goes to prove that, well, my word, what does it prove?
Absolutely nothing, except maybe that only in checkers should one try to jump a king.
Well, it's busy, busy, busy on Mount Flatten these days, for Rocky and Bullwinkle have decided to take the floating mountain to Washington secretly.
Secretly? But how?
Easy. We just take this jet motor out of your plane, fasten it to the mountain, and zoom.
Zoom?
Sure. Come on, give me a hand.
But won't people notice us?
Not if we fly at night.
Of course. Who will ever see us at night?
You hear that, Boris?
Uh-huh.
They're going to fly mountain at night.
Pretty clever, all right.
You not worried, darling?
Not as long as I got fireside cookbook.
Boris, you found recipe.
Of course, right here under fiendish plans for all occasions.
What we do?
Come to other side of mountain.
And the two villains hurried off to their side of Mount Flatten. Meanwhile, paced by the hard-working Rocky, our friends had the jet engine set up in no time at all.
Yeah, and the sun is going down too. I said, and the sun is going down too. Hey! You know, for the sun, he's not too bright.
Okay, Bullwinkle, let's go.
Right, Rock!
And the jet engine began to roar, and Mount Flatten slowly moved through the evening sky. Steering by the stars, Rocky guided the mountain across the country toward Washington.
Well, this certainly proves one thing, Rock.
What's that?
You can take it with you.
All night long, the good ship Mount Flatten pressed eastward. Then, as the first rays of the rising sun struck their faces, our heroes turned off the engine.
But this mountain's top secret, Rocky. How do we keep people from seeing it in the daytime?
Nothing to worry about, Captain Peach Fuzz. Watch.
And the brainy squirrels steered the mountain into an enormous cloud bank where it was hidden from view.
Now let's get some sleep till it gets dark again.
And our friends, exhausted from their all-night vigils, slept soundly. 12 hours later...
Rise and shine, everybody.
Shine? I can't even glow dimly.
Say, where'd our cloud get to?
Sure enough, the mountain was now out in the open. Then Rocky made another disquieting discovery.
That land down there looks pretty familiar.
Well, it should, Rock. That's the U.S. of A.
But I think this is exactly where we started from.
That's ridiculous, Rocky.
Ridiculous or not, when Rocky checked their position with a sextant...
No doubt about it. We haven't moved an inch.
Or a mountain either.
Rocky, I see something sinister in this.
Why, Captain?
Oh, I don't know. I just see something sinister in everything.
Well, all we can do is try again. Fire away, Bullwinkle!
Once more, our friends drove on through the night sky until daylight appeared. But again, when they awoke, they were still right where they started.
I know what it is, Rock.
What?
I didn't pull in the anchor.
We don't have an anchor, Bullwinkle.
Well, I said I didn't pull it in.
All right, everybody, life jackets to your stations. Abandon ship.
Captain, why are you giving orders to abandon ship?
Because, frankly, Rocky, we're sunk.
No, sir, I'm not going to give up. Fire up, Bullwinkle.
Okay, but I call this getting nowhere in a hurry.
And a third time, the determined squirrel piloted Mount Flatten through the sky. When the dawn began to break, he once more pulled into a fog bank.
Well, it's me for 40 winks, fellas.
Right, Captain, or even 50.
No, Bullwinkle, this time we keep our eyes open.
That's no way to sleep.
We won't sleep. We'll stand guard instead.
And our two heroes huddled in the clammy fog, waiting for... who knows what?
Not us, certainly.
Be with us next time for the cliffhanger or Taken for Granite.
And here he is, that master of misinformation, Mr. Know-It-All.
Hi-ho, culture fans. Today's little lecture is entitled How to Be a Barber, or 10 Ways to Clip Your Fellow Man. The successful barber needs the following essential items. First, a red and white striped barber pole.
Bullwinkle, that pole is black and white and checkered.
Maybe that's why business has been so bad. The second necessity is a pair of scissors, which must be sharp as a razor.
Sharp as a razor, Bullwinkle.
An electric razor. It won't cut paper either. Last and, of course, most important, a customer. Do I see a volunteer?
Sorry, I'm late for engagement to bomb playground.
How about you, Captain Peach Fuzz?
I'd like to, Bullwinkle, but I've got to go get a haircut.
Some other time... Well, old buddy boy, that seems to narrow it down to you.
Yeah, well, maybe just a trim, okay?
Sure. You want a type A trim or a type B trim?
Well, what's a type A trim?
That's the kind Yul Brynner got.
Yul Brynner? Well, who got type B?
Here he is. General Custer.
I think I'll be a long hair instead, but I'll give you a little tip, Bullwinkle.
Well, that's mighty nice of you.
Get into some other business, quick.
Sure, but, what about the tip?
That was it. And thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
You're welcome. Ooh.
Hello out there. Peabody here, along with Sherman, the Wayback Machine, and Oil Can.
Why the oil can, Mr. Peabody?
We're going on a train ride, Sherman, and it is my motto, always to be prepared.
I thought that was the Boy Scouts motto.
It is. They got it from me. Be that as it may, today the Wayback will take us way back to the year 1830. Our destination is the city of Baltimore, and our host is Peter Cooper.
Who's he?
He, Sherman, designed and produced the first locomotive engine in the United States. He called it the Tom Thumb, and we will be aboard as it races against a horse and carriage. In the hands of the Wayback, the transition to Baltimore was unbelievably swift. Before we knew it, we were in Peter Cooper's roundhouse.
I suppose you've come to take my engineer's license from me.
Engineer's license? We're here to help you win the race.
There isn't going to be any race.
Why not?
Well, you see, I constructed the Tom Thumb, then I built the roundhouse around it. The problem is I neglected to provide an opening so that the Tom Thumb could get out.
You mean there isn't any door?
What's a door?
I showed him by building one. There you are, Mr. Cooper. You now have an exit for your locomotive.
Sir, you're a genius.
You're so right. We assisted Peter Cooper in rolling the Tom Thumb up to the starting line of the race. It was then the judge announced the rules and regulations.
Gentlemen, 50 miles due south is the town of Neutral Corners. The vehicle that gets there first will be the winner.
While the judge loaded his pistol, I appraised our opposition. That horse looked as though he could run for a month without stopping, and as far as the driver was concerned, I was sure he would not only be a poor loser, but a bad winner.
Wait till that fool Cooper tries to run that iron horse. He doesn't know I greased the tracks. This ought to be a real slick race.
At the sound of the gun, we were off to a very poor start.
Something's wrong, Mr. Cooper. We're not getting anywhere.
That's simply an illusion caused by our excessive speed.
Come on, why don't you get out and push the thing?
Poor Mr. Cooper, can't we do something?
I spied a small group of 9-year-olds playing in a sand pile, and this, of course, gave me an idea. 25 cents later, I was the proud owner of a toy shovel and a bucket full of sand. Here, Sherman, dirty up the tracks.
Huh?
The sand will give us traction. Just keep throwing handfuls. Sure enough, the wheels stopped slipping, and in no time we were highballing along.
If we can maintain this speed, we'll catch up with that horse and buggy. That is, if we can get through the 50% tunnel.
Why do they call it 50%?
Because it's only half finished.
Before I could inquire as to the exact location of the tunnel, we were in it.
I suppose they'll change the name of the tunnel now.
Tell me, sir, are there any other obstacles ahead that you're aware of?
Only the 50% bridge.
I see. Is it called 50% bridge for the same reason as 50% tunnel?
No.
Oh, that's fortunate.
They call it the 50% bridge because only the plans are half finished.
As he spoke, I could see a wide chasm in the not-too-distant distance. The brakes, Mr. Cooper! Apply the brakes!
What are brakes?
The chasm was a mere 30 yards away, or else I would have filled him in on the sagacity of having a brake along. Instead, I boosted the acceleration to its maximum point, forcing the Tom Thumb to surge ahead at a breakneck pace.
Runs beautifully, doesn't she?
She not only ran beautifully, but jumped as well. Inside of a quarter of a mile, we had not only caught up with the horse and carriage, but were slowly pulling ahead.
We're beating him! We're beating him!
But strangely enough, the driver was wearing a smile, and for a good reason.
Well, looks as though the 502 from Denver is right on schedule.
Yes, and it's also right on our track. A head-on collision appeared to be in the making, and that's when I saw a side track just ahead with a switch by it. A quick, Sherman, hand me a piece of wood!
Nice work, Mr. Peabody. Would have been terrible if the 502 had gone off schedule.
By now, we were well ahead of our opposition, and Neutral Corners lay just ahead. In fact, the finish line was a scant 100 yards away, and that is when I turned the supply of steam off, causing the Tom Thumb to roll to a stop.
But we haven't crossed the line yet, Mr. Peabody.
We'll cross it, Sherman, after the horse and driver.
You mean we're going to lose?
We have to, Mr. Cooper. You see, according to history books, you lost this race.
I did?
That's awful.
But history must always be truthful, Sherman. And by stopping the locomotive, we did give rise to one lasting expression.
What's that, Mr. Peabody?
Haven't you ever heard of honest engine?
Well, we know that Mount Flatten is full of Upsidaisium, and that's why it floats in midair. But why does it stay in one place? Our heroes rigged up a jet engine to fly the mountain to Washington, but after 8 hours of flying, they found themselves in the same spot they started from.
We haven't gained an inch, Bullwinkle.
Well, let's look on the bright side.
What's that?
We haven't lost one either.
Then our friends made one last attempt at moving the mountain. All night long they flew, and as day began to dawn, pulled into a cloud bank.
Top secret stuff, you know. Nobody must find out about Mount Flatten.
But instead of resting after their flight, Rocky and Bullwinkle decided to stand guard, and so huddled together in the clammy fog, wide-eyed and alert, while, I said wide-eyed and alert.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Hey, Bullwinkle, do you feel anything strange?
Can't say as I do. We're moving pretty smooth.
But we're not supposed to be moving at all.
Hey, that's right.
Sure enough, the mountain was moving slowly out of the clouds and starting back the same way it had come for the third time.
This is no mountain. It's a big granite yo-yo.
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle, look there.
And as the fog cleared, our heroes saw the reason for Mount Flatten's antics.
It's another engine pulling us back.
When we went to sleep, it took us back where we started.
And who were those two people?
It's Mojave Max and Death Valley Dottie. Hey, you two.
Boris, they're not asleep. We're caught.
Oh boy, as Julius Caesar said, Amnegalia in tres partes divisa est.
Translation.
The jig is up, run!
After him, Bullwinkle.
The mighty moose pounded after the hapless Boris, but just as he was about to seize him, his false beard flew off and landed on Bullwinkle.
Oop!
Bullwinkle, that's a false beard.
So it is.
We better tell Captain Peach Fuzz right away.
In a few minutes, they had related the whole story to the head of G2. His reaction was immediate.
Away all boats, stand by to jettison supercargo, blast off and charge!
Captain!
Did I miss anything?
Captain, shouldn't we notify Washington?
I told you, Rocky, this mountain is top secret.
Not anymore, it's not. Looky there.
Oddly enough, Bullwinkle was right, for far below, Mount Flatten was making a great impression on people of a small mountain town who were seeing it for the first time.
Say, Zeke, there's a whole great big mountain floating through there.
Yeah?
With trees and everything. I never did see anything like it.
You know, Clem, it sounds so old-fired good. I plumb wish I was facing that way.
Lem, there's a whole South 40 floating overhead.
Reckon it's the Hartfields. They've been thinking of moving.
And of course, the event did not go unnoticed on the local radio station.
Sarah Gummy has broke her leg. There is a mountain floating over our town. And here's the important flash. Egg prices up to 24 cents a dozen.
But eventually, word of the flight of Mount Flatten reached the outside world.
Extra, extra! Squirrel flies floating mountain! Rocky heads for Washington!
And soon a squadron of planes flew alongside the mountain as an honor escort.
Hi, fellas!
Drop in any time.
But not everybody was delighted with this turn of events.
Bad enough. This mountain must not reach Washington.
But we nearly there, Mr. Big. What could we do?
Don't you remember the old motto of terrorist tech?
Of course, when in doubt, blow it up.
Right. Boris, you will blow up Mount Flatten. Now.
Oh, boy!
Well, can this mean the end of our story and our heroes at the same time? Be sure to be here next time for Supersonic Boom or the Old Mount's a Moverin'.